Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph Labella.
And I'm Ron Sen. This week I read a great book called The Politics of Coaching by Carl Pearson. Coach Pearson's a three-sport, 40-plus season coach in Minnesota, although he's originally from South Dakota. And he writes about all the pitfalls and great experiences he's had being a coach and why it's so tough, because everybody wants what's pretty much good for themselves and not always what's best for the team. And that's what makes coaching such a challenge, because it's not your job to make every individual happy. Your job is to make everyone as valuable as they can be, but to make the team as good as it can be. And what's good for the team can't be the best for every individual.
Right, that's where communication comes in. I mean, they have to know what their role is on the team. They have to know that they have to perform at a high level in practice to get that playing time. And once the players know that, and you're 100% honest with them, Ron, I mean, you don't have problems, because you're constantly communicating with them, and they're communicating back to their parents. You know, I mean, if you really care about them, they understand that, they pick that up right away, and they know you have to do the best for the team. Now, if you're talking about middle school compared to high school, that's a little different. You know, you want to develop everyone. I mean, if you're picking a team of 11 like we had, you want to develop everyone and give them all a real good chance of playing, but they know, they understand in the key situation of a game, you're going to put the 5 players in there that are playing best, that are going to make good decisions at the end of the game, play the great defense, players that you can count on. And if you explain to the other players that, hey, you have to get better defensively. If we're up 3 points at the end of the game, we need you to play great defense. We need you to rotate when you have to. We need you to pressure the ball when we want you to. And that's the way it goes. So if you're honest with them, it's a lot easier.
Right, and as we've talked a lot, you need to be in absolutely terrific condition, because you have to be able to play just as hard in the first minute of the game, the last. When your legs go, your shots come up short, you're not willing to play great defense off the ball. It's hard to come back if you're behind and you have to play faster. So conditioning is a sine qua non of being a successful basketball player, at least in contemporary basketball.
Right, and if you have a group of players that are really comfortable with you as a coach, really respect what you're doing, they know that you really care about them and you want the best for them, and they're doing and they see they're getting better and better. There's no better feel in the world. You know that. You know, when you can play at a level, you reach that special level that many teams can't get to, and if that's your goal starting off, say you're not even a strong team. Say the year before the team had problems, but you have a group of players that really want it, and they know how to go at it the right way, and they're going to give you 100%. You know there's no better feeling in the world. You know, we've talked about stories when we coached years ago about players.
Well, we've seen teams that were not as strong as far as totally the whole complement of talent that were very strong in the end. Now, for example, a few years ago, Reading, Stoneham, and Melrose all tied for the league championship in girls basketball. And Stoneham had less talent by far, I think, than both Reading and Melrose, but they played really well together, and they played good defense. They really played hard, and you know, they were able to tie for the league championship with less talent, but playing with a lot of heart and good coaching.
Yeah, and that's one year that Melrose probably could have went undefeated, but they had Laura get hurt early, and then when Laura was coming back, Sienna got hurt early, and they really relied on those 4 players. They relied on Colleen Hanscom, Hannah Brickley, Sienna Mamayak, and Laura Irwin, and then they had the other role players. But to play at their max, they needed all 4 of those players healthy.
Right, and most of the time, with exceptions, when you have a lot of veteran players, especially seniors, especially experienced players, it makes your job a lot easier.
Right, and that team went to the Garden, too. They got healthy. They almost went to the States because they were beating Oliver Ames, I believe, by 7 points in the first period. They ended up losing. Oliver Ames had their 6th man came out and played great, and Batista was an all-state player.
Right, who's had an outstanding career at Bentley.
But that team ended up doing really good, and that's what it is. You have to stick together, but there's nothing like getting a young group, a group that, you know, you maybe has had a tough time previous couple of years, really finding their focus and getting that enthusiasm, getting them together and really showing how hard work what that'll accomplish.
And I think if you talk to every really successful coach, it's about establishing roles for players and players being very successful in their roles. You may not like the role you have, but if you do it to the best of your ability and add a lot of value to the team, you're going to be really successful. Certainly, Carolina used to put I guess it was the white team out for a few minutes to give the starters a break. They'd play with high energy, a lot of support from the fans, and they were critical to the team's success. So having effective reserves, even if they're not playing heavy minutes, really does matter.
Oh, yeah. And look what we're doing with our 8th grade group. We're putting them into a varsity league this summer, against in the A varsity league, not the B varsity league, the A, because they're talented. And why not put them up against them? They're going up to high school next year. Let them get a feel of varsity basketball. You're not looking for wins and losses. You're just looking to see them improve.
And speaking of the varsity, Tim Tebow joined the varsity this week as the Patriots signed the free agent quarterback / maybe tight end, maybe running back as the 3rd string quarterback.
I'm happy for him. I like him. I'm one of the people that like him. Let's see. I know he's had the opportunity to be the quarterback for Denver. New York, they didn't give him much of a chance. They put him in in situations where it was like 3rd and 1 and the teams knew it was coming. Let's see. Let him play behind Brady for a couple of years. Who knows what's going to happen to Brady?
Well, that's exactly the point.
Plus, you have Mallet, too.
Things can happen. There's no quarterback controversy whatsoever. No way Tebow's going to say, I should get playing time, whatever. Hopefully he develops. If an unfortunate injury or whatever ever happens to Brady, then you have a competitive situation for the backup role, and who knows?
But it does bring interest to the team, the fans. I mean, they're going to go see him. He's a great guy, great person.
Right. The other issue, of course, is they've recently finished OTAs, and this was mandatory mini camp for 3 days this week. It was actually more like 2 days since the Patriots didn't practice today. And the question becomes, what's voluntary and what's not voluntary? And contractually, it's voluntary. You don't have to go to OTAs, and Spikes was the only player who didn't go, but apparently he works out in some high-powered workout center in Florida.
Well, what was this week?
This was mandatory minicamp.
This was mandatory minicamp. Right. Now they're off until July something.
Right, and
But they'll keep working out, most of them.
Right, and the big issue that people are talking about are wide receivers, as the draft choices. I think Boyce and Dobson both weren't on the field.
Dobson was injured. I don't know. There's always injuries. It's unbelievable. How do you get injured when you're practicing?
Well, it gives opportunities for other people.
They're not getting hit.
The tight ends aren't out there, so this guy, Zach Sudfield, who...
Oh, yeah, they like him,
They like he's 6'7", 250, can run, can
Where's
catch.
Where's he from, Ron? I read a little about him.
I want to say Nevada.
Yeah.
And, and then there's kid Ken Burrell Tompkins from, I don't know where he was from, but apparently another guy who's making the most of his opportunity.
Right. They always get a couple of free agents. Not free agents from other teams, free agents coming out of college that weren't drafted. Look at Fletcher. He was an excellent pickup as a free agent.
Well, the other thing is, if you have a lot of talent, chances are Sudfield and Tompkins didn't have Tom Brady throwing to them in college. So they may, you get a chance for whatever reason, you pick up the system faster, or you just get chances because other guys are hurt. You never know.
Yeah, and Gronkowski's got to turn things around this year. I mean, he's got to stop goofing off, and he's got to start concentrating on football and football only.
Well, he's got to
forget the clubs and drinking and whatever. He's doing body slams with a metal in his arm. I mean, you talk about ridiculous. Now he's got the back he's got to be operated on. That's from, they say it's not even the same disc that he was operating on before.
Well, it's, you'd think that a professional athlete would recognize that their body is their primary tool, and you got to take care of that piece of equipment to be successful. Now, look at the case of Josh Beckett. He went to the Dodgers. Now he's got some numbness in his arm. They're talking about maybe his career's over. Crawford's been hurt with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, the Red Sox better watch out for Buchholz.
Right.
He's had that problem in his back. He better watch out. He doesn't tear something.
But, nothing is given or taken for granted in sports. I think we always love the underdog story. Daniel Nava, the guy picked up a retread from an independent league, now might have an outside chance at being named to the All-Star team.
He has a beautiful swing, Ron. And I'm a Yankee fan, and I think probably the older I get, the more I just love watching the game. and I love Pedroia's my favorite player. He's in the class of Jeter as far as I'm concerned. But I
It's-
love Nava.
It's ridiculous what Pedroia does day after day.
Yeah, but I love when they, again, I'm more of a baseball fan now, and I love when Nava hit that 2-run homer on that slider. He sat back on it, he drilled it.
Oh, is that the 10th pitch of the at-bat?
Yeah, it just and against a good pitcher. It was a
Right, Archer.
Archer.
Yeah.
What stuff he has.
Yeah,
Where do they
he's-
get these pitches?
Tampa's got a million of these guys down in the
It's
minors.
unbelievable.
But it's very easy for me to be enthusiastic about an underrated find from nowhere. And Navi, he doesn't say 2 words. He's just out there playing really hard. And I have to give Jacoby Ellsbury his due. He's been playing hard since he got back in the lineup. He's been very effective the last couple weeks. I don't understand the 1 home run thing, but hey, whatever.
But you know what else I don't understand? They played a doubleheader the other day because of the rain, day-night. So they say he's just coming back. Well, there was a second game after the injury. So he comes back and they say, well, he's not going to play the second game because they want him to watch his leg. They don't want him to hurt his leg. First time he gets on base, he steals second.
Well, we talked about politics early. Of the 3 guys who are on the left side of the infield, Iglesias, Drew, and Middlebrooks, only 1 guy deserves to be in there every day.
That's amazing. If they ever send him down, I mean, if they send him down, I mean, that's ridiculous because they paid Drew $9 million. This kid's playing unbelievable. He should be the starting shortstop every day. If he gets hurt or if they have to give him a rest, then you put Drew in there. I mean, look at the Yankees paying A-Rod $32 million for doing nothing. So they get burned for $9 million.
Well, if the Angels had somebody out in the outfield, Hamilton, let's say Hamilton continued to play like this and Trout were a rookie doing what he's doing, would they sit Trout to keep Hamilton out there?
But Ron, these people should really think about that. I mean, really think about it. You're keeping a guy hitting 230 in Drew at shortstop over a younger guy, because he has options in the minors, whatever, making less money, making less than $1 million. You're not playing this guy who's hitting 450, much better defensively, because you paid a guy. Now, how stupid is that?
Let's say we owned a shoe store and we had 2 salespeople, and one of them we were paying $30 an hour, and one of them we were paying $10. And the guy selling being paid $10 an hour is selling 10 times as many shoes. Are we not going to keep him in the lineup? I don't get it.
You take the loss. Drew becomes a $9 million backup. That's all.
It
Just
happens.
playing him in baseball.
But in sports, that's not the way it works. The high-priced guy gets 1 million chances. It's just like the walk-on player at some school that is 6'4" and 225, and he's a great running back, and nobody found the guy. He won't get a chance because some other kid got recruited, and the recruit's going to get the chance 10 times.
How about Aceves last night again?
Well, he's right.
What a situation that is. You have to send him down in the minors. When you need a spot starter, you bring him up, and he pitches great. It's the second one in a row, isn't it?
Right, and the bullpen seems to be somewhat in order again after Delatorre bailed him out for a day. I love Uehara. I love the way he goes back to the dugout and gets overly excited about getting 1 out. And Breslow, I don't know how he gets anybody out, but he does.
Yeah, he does.
It's sort of those crafty left-handers.
He had 1 bad game, but he's good.
And he's a guy who can stay in the league probably for 6 or 7 years.
And Bailey's pitching good too.
Yeah. We'll be right back.
At Athletic Evolution, it starts with a purpose and ends with your success. Visit our website or drop into our training facility at 78B Olympia Avenue, Woburn, Mass. Athletic Evolution, giving you the edge.
Welcome to the Sports Conversation. Tonight's guest, for the third time, Bill DeSimone, varsity girls soccer coach. Bill's going to set us straight as to what's really going on with girls soccer and, you know, where we stand in the international, even the universe of girls soccer.
Thank
Welcome, Bill.
Hi,
Thank
Bill.
you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Explain the program, what's going on right now.
Okay, well, first of all, what Ron said a second ago, I just wanted to set him straight, so to speak. You asked a question a couple of times of why Melrose can't achieve the success that Lexington, Belmont, and Winchester achieves, and it's not simple, but there are answers for that. And first of all, I'd like to say I think we have. Maybe we haven't won state championships, but we're certainly competitive with them, and they don't walk on the field any longer thinking that it's an automatic 2 points. It's not. Okay, we've beaten Belmont, we've beaten Lexington, and there was a time when your daughters were back in 2005. That year we played them to 2-0-0 games, and so I think we have made some great strides over the years. This is my 11th year here, and you know, we now have consistency, which is the key in anything in life, business, anything, sports too. What you had prior to this is you had a bunch of coaches going in and out, a revolving door, if you will. My daughter, when she played, had 4 different coaches in 4 years. You're not going to achieve success doing that because there's no expectations. When the seniors become seniors, there's a sense of entitlement. They feel as though they should play, and you have a familiarity aspect where the coach comes in and he doesn't know anybody or she doesn't know anybody. So now you have that, and these kids, the groundwork is laid down for them right now. So I met with them a week or so ago, and they know what's expected of them. They got a packet, and it told them, this is what you have to do. This is what the first day of practice, this is what we expect from you. And if you don't achieve that, it's your fault. It's not my fault. Don't have mom and dad pick up the phone and call me. You got to cut. I tell them all the time, you have to cover my back because I'll cover your back on the field, but don't go home and at the dinner table, and that's probably the biggest problem you find. That's where the cancer starts, is at the dinner table. They start whining and, oh, I'm not getting the playing time, or this one's not being fair to me. That's not true. The best play has to be in the varsity sports. So getting back to Lexington and Belmont and Winchester, first of all, Lexington's got 2,000 kids. So right away, my salary cap, meaning my players that I have to draw from, is a lot less than Lexington. So they're probably going to be better. I'll have that potential to be better. Belmont, they play a lot of club soccer, and I heard you talk to Carlos about that. Carlos kind of misspoke a little bit because we have a club soccer
Yeah, he said
program.
only 2 or 3 were playing.
No, we had a club team of 22 kids. 22 Melrose kids went out and played in the Maple Soccer Program, which is the Massachusetts Premier Soccer League. So we have 22 kids playing, all from Melrose, and we drive down to, I don't know, pick a city, Cranston, Rhode Island, and we go against the Spirits of Cranston, Rhode Island, and they have a team of 18, yet there are 14 other cities that are represented by them. So essentially, that's an all-star team, a select team, if you will, and we go out there and we compete. I mean, we compete successfully. Sure, we lost 3 or 4 to 1, and, you know, they think they did real well, but we achieved our purpose here, which was to get these kids to play together at a high level of competition.
So you're saying the excitement and interest is there. I mean, in the summertime, they're out working hard.
Well, if 6
I mean, there
o'clock
are other
work-
sports. The tough thing is there are other
Absolutely.
sports.
6 o'clock morning workouts. I've gotten calls from other coaches at Melrose saying, hey, can my kids come down and work out with your girls? Because what we do is we work them. They work hard for that hour and 15, 20 minutes. 6 o'clock in the morning. Why 6 o'clock in the morning? You don't want to go out there and practice at noontime on the turf, and you don't want to go out there at 5 o'clock. We do it before it gets hot. They put their work in 3 days a week, and for 8 weeks, and after those 24 sessions, they should be ready to go.
Now, who supervises the morning conditionings? Is it captains?
No, well, no. See, that's another thing. Back in the day, okay, you had captains' practices, so to speak. And what did they do? They went out and jogged around, and then they probably jogged the socks, and after they jogged that mile and a half, they had an ice cream. They don't do that now. We have people, Megan McClory, for instance, and my daughter Danielle, they both run it. Danielle's the drill sergeant. Megan has all the expertise because that's what she went to school for. So she knows what she's doing. She was a Division I player. She trains them in that type of conditioning atmosphere.
Now, do you have a formal conditioning test before tryouts?
No, we don't, but this year we're starting that because every year I've tried to do something a little bit different. You know, like you're climbing a set of stairs. So if I went out there and said, hey, you guys got to pass this test, they wouldn't do it, okay, back a few years now. But now, you know, we're starting to get a little bit successful. We're starting to get success. Now they say, geez, maybe he does know what he's talking about a little bit. So this year they were told, I expect you to take the test, and I expect you to pass the test. It's called Creighton. And you know, I can get you a copy if you want to take a look at it. But I scaled it down a little bit because my goal is to get them fit. Okay, not get them fit for Creighton, but get them fit for what I need them for the Middlesex League. So if I scale it down a little bit to where it's 80% of that, I'm pretty happy if they pass that because think about it, they're 80% fit, ready to go in the Creighton program.
Right, we were talking about the book, The Politics of Coaching, before the show, and within the book, the coach is discussing he has 40 kids trying out for 4 spots because there's 14 kids coming back between varsity and JV. And he does standardized testing, including running, weightlifting, and vertical jump. So one of the 36 kids who doesn't make it, the parents come in there quite unhappy about the whole thing and why their daughter didn't make it. And he says, he basically said that she wasn't quite big enough to be a forward and she couldn't handle the ball well enough to be a guard. But he said, fortunately, I didn't have to tell him that she finished 54th on one test out of 55 and 55th out of the other 2 because she really wasn't a good enough athlete to be in their program.
That's the way it goes. It's a varsity sport. And to get back to the point you made earlier, the question you asked earlier, Winchester, okay? Back in 1978, that's when their program started. Okay, whereas Melrose program was a club program. You know, they went out there, and maybe they played Winchester, but it didn't count, so to speak. So you had a gentleman named Chris Scanlon come in, graduates Westfield State, knows what he's doing, played soccer there, and he was the consistency there. He set the bar. And what happened? Much like the volleyball team, success was achieved. So you've got the bar set by the coaches and the players who achieved that, and now you have the new kids coming in, and what do they say? I want to do that. Well, you can't do that unless you achieve that level, or you surpass that level, which is what these guys did this year when they won the state championship. You know, in volleyball, you have 5 players. In soccer, you have 11. Much easier to build with 5. And I'm certainly not trying to, say that Scott Shelley is not a good coach or that program's not good. But it is much easier to build a volleyball program. You have to find XYZ number as opposed to 2 times XYZ number, what I have to do when I have 11 players.
Now, the superstar players, I mean, they help. Of course they help
Sure
out.
they do.
But
how about your basketball program? You have Metco kids coming in here, becoming player of the year. I'd love to get a Metco student come in here. Give me a Brazilian midfielder. Come on in here and play here. That would certainly help us. But, we do what we got. And I'm really proud of some of these kids. We have like 6 kids playing college soccer right now. We have the Aganis game coming up. I have 2 players playing in that. Last year, I had 3.
well, you're playing in the best league in the state, aren't you?
Might not be the best league in the state, so to speak, with the best team, but it's certainly the most competitive. 9 out of 12 teams in that league made the tournament last year. That's unheard of. 9 out of 12.
Now, how's youth soccer in Melrose?
Youth soccer, I'm very fortunate. I have much the same. You 2 guys take the 8th graders. I have my daughter who takes the 8th graders, so she gives the Kool-Aid that I preach to them. So when they come up as freshmen, they understand, what I expect from them. She'll always say to them, you think I'm hard on you? Wait till you see what happens next year. So and I'm very, very fortunate. Last year she gave me a real good crop of freshmen. This year another good crop of freshmen. That's just going to bode for success. Believe me, I'm not.
How many games you play a year?
18.
18. You have to go 500, right?
You have to go 500.
And how many times do you play Winchester? Twice?
We used to play them twice. We used to have to play
they're
Winchester.
in the Liberty now?
Yeah. So that obviously that benefits us. But I used to like playing them because that was a great way to say, Jesus, this is the level where this is how much better we've gotten. Yeah. I mean, we've had 1-0 games, 2-0 games, 2-1 games, and one of these years we're going to get them. I know we're going to get them.
I know you lost a lot of seniors this year.
14.
You lost 14?
Yep.
So now you have to fill that with your JVs and your freshmen coming in?
As I was telling you before the show, this is going to show me that it's working. The program is working. It's not about me once you build this, the program should manage itself. Okay, you should get these players coming up year after year. So this year, I'm going to need 14 players. So I'm excited about this. They're young players, but they're good. They're good individually. Now it's my job as a coach and our job as coaches to blend them together, to find that right combination. When somebody's hot, play them. When somebody's not hot, play the hot kid. I heard that on the radio today, the coach of the Blackhawks, he's got his bottom 6 players. When he finds out who's playing hot, he'll move them up to the top 6 players. Well, that's what you got to do.
You got a big goal. One of them got a big goal last night,
Sure
too.
did, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
now, any of you girls ever go to Foxborough and watch the pros play?
No.
No?
I'm sure they go to the Revolution, but they're not. See, that what you have in Foxborough, to be honest with you, is not the best quality of soccer. I would prefer that they sit there and watch some of that Premier League soccer. I mean, that really teaches them a lot, because something that's very comparable to the Middlesex League. I'm not saying the soccer is, but if you think about it, all those teams are the same. Goals are usually scored on restarts. I think it's like 33% of a goal is scored on a corner or a restart, and that's what we try to tell these kids. And they bought into it last year. Guys, if you play them even Steven 11 on 11, when you get that restart, if you can make it happen, and we did quite a few times last year, you make it happen and you defend the restarts, you win those 2-1, 3-2 games, 1-0 games, and that happened to us last year a lot.
Now, how long are your practices every day?
I'd like to practice a couple hours, but it's field time.
They cut you down,
Yeah,
right?
they definitely cut
What
me
is it, like an hour and a half?
It's an hour and a half.
Now, do you scrimmage much?
Now, well, before the season, we're going to scrimmage a lot, because that's how I'm going to be able to tell who belongs. But once the season gets started, we usually play Ralph Tuesdays and Fridays, so it's very, very tough to, you want to give them a day to recover. You really do.
Right.
So while you do a lot of walkthroughs and a lot of stretching and a little bit of skill, you don't really want to run them
During the season.
During the season, you
but
can't.
in the off season, like in the summertime, do
Yep.
they scrimmage a lot?
They're going to be in the
Or
summer
they do
league.
drills?
They're going to be in the summer league all the month of July. In the morning, once a week, they do they have a drill that they, a session that they do with skill drills and stuff like that. So they'll be touching the ball a lot. But
Do you have many players who come to you and say, what do I have to do to get on the field more?
absolutely.
Because I think that's a real issue. It's
And
to say, well, I don't get to play enough isn't really the right issue. It's what do I have to do to be able to contribute more?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So then you kind of want to rephrase the question. It's not about you. It's who do I put you out there that you can do a better job for the team, if you know what I'm saying. Like, okay, you're a stopper. I got Sally there. Well, I like Sally there. Well, I want to play some more, Bill. Well, how do you become better than Sally? What do you do better than Sally that I can possibly blend that in with the team? So that's the question. A lot of kids, you find out that it's just nerves. They just don't relax, and they put too much pressure on themselves. This is supposed to be fun, and I always tell them, have fun. That's it. Just go out there, have fun, let it all hang out. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about school. This is your time to just have fun. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I think in a sport like basketball, where we have fewer players on the court at one time, a really legitimate question a player could have is, gee, I don't get to play with the best players, so sometimes that makes me look less effective.
Yep.
If I got to play with them, maybe it would be different. How does that play out
Well,
with soccer?
to Ralph's point, that's my job when I have the tryouts. I have to try to allow that kid to play with the so-called first string. So that's a tough thing to do. But what you do is you try to sit them down and you say, okay, today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to play with this group, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to play with that group. And sometimes you even say to them, well, you're going to play with the JV today. And, they'll frown on that. They'll be unhappy. I say, don't read into some things that aren't really there. I want you to play, but in order for you to play a significant amount of time, you have to go play in the JV game, because I have to see what these other kids can do against the people that have the jobs, if you will. So that's important. You're absolutely right. That's very important, because if you put the second string out there together, what are you going to get? You're going to get a bunch of second string quality game, and that's not what you want.
When you wake up in the morning of a game day, is it a different feeling?
Oh, yeah.
You're excited right from,
Absolutely.
especially when you're playing a team.
Speaking of Winchester, we played Winchester, and I like to go on a Saturday mornings. I love to go down to Pine Banks about 7:30 with my chair and just read the paper. Go out. So I drive down there one Saturday morning, and he's already got them out there on my field doing their little Winchester war dance out there. And I'm going, this guy's got to be kidding me. He ruined my Saturday morning. But no, I love going. It's, yeah.
And how's the team look coming up?
We're young.
Young.
This is going to be
Exciting?
This is absolutely exciting. I really love these kids. I look forward to this year because I really think that these guys are going to surprise a lot of people.
You have two of our girls that are tremendous athletes. Ian Morris
We talked about,
and Shannon Jones.
Yep.
Both of them are very terrific kids, and they're real good players. And
Well, thanks for joining us and getting us up to speed with what's going on in the soccer world.
Told you breakfast would have been better.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be right back.
On and off the court, Visionary Basketball Group delivers programs that empower players with skills for athletic and personal success. Our players undergo learning experiences that position them for positive lifelong achievement on and off the court.
Hello, my name is Anthony Taylor, founder of Visionary Basketball Group, VBG. It's a year-round basketball player development organization ranging from preschool to college and professional level, girls and boys. We cater to all skill levels, starting from beginner, intermediate, and advanced. One of the biggest things that we have is our coaching staff, who do a phenomenal job at mentoring the players on a regular basis with the training, the teaching, and the knowledge. We operate 7 days a week. We offer over 30 sessions, and we're considered one of the top comprehensive basketball player development organizations in New England. And another key aspect that we do is that we have kids coming from all different areas, urban, suburban communities, uniting as one. And that's what makes VBG a phenomenal organization that helps kids gain confidence, leadership, discipline, self-esteem. And if you have a chance, come down and see what we do at Visionary Basketball Group.
VBG player athletes are rising stars in elementary, middle school, high school, and college basketball. We apply the same approach to training with every participant at VBG and produce players who are prepared for maximum performance. Visionary Basketball not only provides programs for individuals, we can also come to your town, school, or any institution to customize a structured program for your team or basketball organization. For more information, please log on to our website, www.visionarybasketball.com, or drop into our Athletic Performance Center at 152 Tremont Street, Melrose, Mass. VBG, complete your vision.
Welcome back. The Bruins are in the postseason in the Stanley Cup, and climb in from the ledge, fans. It's Lou to help us understand what's going on.
What's going on? Sounds like a Marvin Gaye song. What's going on? First, who the hell thought they were going to beat Pittsburgh? Well, 2 out of the 3 of us did.
Well, I picked them in 7 because I'm a Boston fan. That was about.
And I picked them in 6. I figured, okay, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
I'm strictly trying to go with luck, so I have to pick against the Bruins every time, hoping that they'll win.
So they were lost last night. They're down 0-1 to Chicago. What's your prediction?
It's a lot easier to pick for Chicago now, but you know, I would have picked the Bruins before the series. If given the opportunity to bet at any point during a horse race, always bet on the horse closest to the finish.
Yeah, well, I say Bruins in 7. That's it. I'm going for it, and that's it.
I'm saying Bruins in 6.
Well, people seem to be, to an extent, discussing Rask. He had no chance on any of that last night.
It's the game. It's hockey. You know,
it
it's
still
hockey.
hurts. Yeah, but
People can't be upset about those missed opportunities.
The 2 of the goals were just, Rask, he wasn't out of position. He couldn't get in position fast enough because, the first goal, the guy just threw it right on it. He put it where the goalie isn't. And the second one, he did the same.
But, it's funny, Lou, you watch the Pittsburgh series. How many of them shots just were deflected and they went, there's wider than that? This one here went in. That's what I was always worrying about. There was so many shots on net that the defensive players would deflect, and they wouldn't go in. This time, it went in.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy didn't even put the puck on net. Oh, do ya?
He just flicked it.
He put it. I think he tried to put it on net. It was such a bad shot, he missed the net by 2 feet, and then Ferentz just happens to. I mean, that's one of those things. After I'm sitting there going, why? Why doesn't he have his stick down? Why isn't he watching the puck? What's wrong with Ferentz? And it's like, my God, it was such a bad shot. It wasn't even on net, and it goes off his skate and trickles in. And it's like, and then we had how many opportunities to win that game? I mean,
I don't know what's going on with Sagan. I mean, he has to finish. He's had the most shots in the team, 1 goal.
yeah, well, I mean, you look at what Lucic did last night. I mean, 2 goals. He's been a force, strong with the puck.
Gordon's going to be a big loss.
Well, if you went through the underrated, overrated game, I mean, I think a lot of people are getting to the point where they're feeling Sagan is overrated just because the production hasn't been there, for whatever reason. Maybe he's hurt, maybe he's, just having bad luck, maybe he's not willing to, sacrifice his body. Who knows? He's a kid.
I think if he played with Marchand more, that's the guy he should be playing with. Because Marchand would be setting him up a lot more. Marchand puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Sagan would be getting the puck in better position to score.
It's possible.
Him and Bergeron.
You know what it is, though? It's just Sagan can't seem to do anything unless he's got the puck in open ice. And I mean, that's great. He's got fantastic wrists. He can move the puck and everything. But, you see the way Yager is in tight. He's down low.
Yager's stronger.
Yager can carry that puck. He can keep the puck on his stick. I mean, even when he was in his prime, guys were bouncing off him anyway. But now he's 41 years old. He's lost a step that he never really had to begin with. He's so strong with the puck. I mean, if anything, they ought to just sign Yager for another year just so that they can say, look, spend some time with Sagan. Show him how to keep that puck, how to be strong on the puck. Because if he's not in a wide open area where he can stick handle, dig people out, and get a shot, it seems like you can just get the puck from him. You can knock him off the puck. And I thought he might have to bulk up. Now I just think he just, he's got to grow into it.
Marchand's trying to one move every single time, trying to fake outside and pull the puck back. Pretty much teams have wised up to that right now. It's not happening for him.
Yeah, I think Sagan needs the confidence. If he can get 1 or 2 goals, he may take off. He has the talent, but confidence is huge, and right now he's not playing with any.
Yeah, I mean, what the worst 2 things that could happen to him? It's like Parcells used to say, the dreaded potential word. It only means you haven't done anything. The sad fact is, if you remember the Vancouver series, when he split the 2 defenders and then blew the puck by the goalie, we were all saying, wow, that was a Bobby Orr move. And around these parts, anybody that looks like Bobby Orr for even 5 seconds, we're starting to wow, the promised land. This could be a 60-goal scorer. This could be this. This could be that. And right now, what is he? I mean, he's about a third-line player, right?
Well, the other thing is you have a player like Thornton who got a couple scoring opportunities, but he's not really a scorer. So it's not the same type of quality scoring opportunity as if a scorer gets a scoring opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like Thornton's going to get by on savvy, blood and guts. He knows how to play the game. He knows where he's supposed to be. He might not be the fastest guy. He's not the biggest guy, but he knows how to get it done. He knows where to be, and that's more important than anything else. The X's and the O's. It's like in football, the wide receiver. Well, they got these guys that are running 4-1s right now. It's like, okay, fine. How fast can you run it in pads? Can you do it with a defensive back on you? And can you run a precision route? That's why it's the same in hockey, as the wide receiver that's slow but knows how to get open. If you're a hockey player, you know where to be, you know the X's and O's, you know how to get up the ice, you know how to stay where you're supposed to be, find space, get the shot. It seems like, I mean, the Sagan thing, he just seems to disappear. He doesn't seem like he has, and it's no surprise, he's young, but he doesn't have that veteran savvy yet where he knows how to go up the ice, get open, be a part of the play even when you're across the ice and have nothing to do with the puck. Back check,
Why not put Thornton on Sagan's line, the third line?
Let
him play with a physical player who'll go in the corners and get him the puck.
Well, here's the other.
That might be a good move.
Here's the other part now. We don't want to sound like we're panicking, because I tell you, the Bruins.
Well, with Horton out, you got to make some moves.
He is going to have to shuffle the lines. He's not a line shuffler. The thing is, Claude Julien, he likes to keep the continuity. He's got 3 guys that play together, 3 guys play together. The thing is right now, you look at the Jekyll and Hyde nature of the Bruins, and you say, well, they just had a fantastic run. I mean, they were 4-1 against the Rangers. They shouldn't have even lost that 1 game to the Rangers.
Right.
They should have had 2 sweeps. But then you say, But, the team struggled against Toronto. And so now you say Chicago's one of the fastest teams in the league. You saw that they were a little bit faster than the Penguins last night. They're very similar to the Bruins, that they know how to back check. They know how to get back to their zone. They play that same little triangle in front of the net. Goalie makes a save, defenseman gets the puck out. Similar to how the Bruins beat Pittsburgh.
But they're not as good as Pittsburgh, Chicago against the boards.
And
the Bruins were out-battling them on the boards most of the
Bruins
game.
got most of the breaks that they needed to win that game. They let up 3 goals. I don't really blame Rask for any of them. I mean, when you're not in a position, you're square to the shooter, you should save the puck 99 times out of 100, unless he blows it by you. And then, hey, good for the shooter. But, you look at it, they scored 3 goals last night. They could have scored 8 goals, but coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Both teams coulda.
Absolutely. So I think that, this is going to be a series. I think the Bruins have the talent, they have the coaching, they have the game plan.
Well,
they were there, last night they were right there. I mean, you can't say that this is one of those, like you came out of that game like, wow. Like when Pittsburgh came out of that second game against the Bruins, it said, wow.
Well, I always feel like hockey's not the same as other sports. You get nervous in basketball and you miss a layup. In hockey, most people don't fan on the puck or just make terrible decisions on that they normally make good decisions.
Well, Krug did yesterday.
Yeah.
Krug made a terrible pass.
But they've struggled in their end, seems like the whole season at times.
I'll give you a glaring, I was looking at the tail of the tape, so to speak. The Chicago had a worse power play than the Bruins. The Bruins, they talk about the anemic power play was something like 15%. Well, Chicago's was 13.5. And so you say, all right, Chicago's got a great penalty killing unit. And the Bruins, they go and score on the first shot of the first penalty they got, power play rather. So it's like, okay, this is good. One glaring turnover, though. One glaring stat, rather, was the Bruins' turnovers. They turned the puck over something like 68 more times. I think the Bruins had turned it over 168 times, Chicago only 100. And so you say, all right, well, sloppiness. And I think sloppiness is, when Krug passed through the slot,
Right. I mean, you're watching the game and saying, like, get it out of your own end, please. You're not looking for a great play. Just relieve the pressure so that they can regroup.
Well, the difference is with Pittsburgh and Chicago, they play it different. The Bruins, they don't really forecheck as hard as the other teams do. I mean, they're in there forechecking. They're sending 3 people sometimes. Bruins very rarely send 3 in, 2, and they're really like loose on that. You can see there's so much open ice for the other team to get out of their end, and the Bruins really have to work on getting it. But once they get out of it, they get a pretty good attack. Once they make that pass, that first pass, they usually, and that's why they scored. Big reason why they scored 3 goals against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh changed their strategy in the last 2 games. Bruins only scored 1 in each game, and then they had the second goal in overtime in one of the games. But I mean, don't forget what Pittsburgh did to the Bruins in the last 2 games.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and I think that's what Chicago. They saw the tape and they said, the Bruins are very much like us. They probably said, we know what we got to do here, and
Right.
it's good coaching staff in Chicago. Quenneville won himself a ring a couple of years ago. I don't know if the goalie's as strong as Rask, but then there are still people that want to call Rask mediocre, and I don't know.
You know what that game showed last night, though? The 4-game sweep against Pittsburgh, that wasn't a fluke at all. It wasn't close to a fluke. The way they played against Chicago, the best team in the NHL this year, they played them even last night. I thought it was an even match.
I agree 100%.
And they know they can beat them now. I mean, as a Bruin fan, you have to feel pretty good. Even though they had a tough loss, you have to feel that they can beat them. If they play their game and they play to the best of their ability, they're going to be the Stanley Cup champs.
Well, they were saying that teams that had lost in overtime, I think game 1, had only won 1 time out of 5 in the past. Now, if that's not a huge sample size.
No, because the next game's the big game.
But the last time it happened, I think, was 1931.
When I think about those stats, I think about January of 1986. And Tony Franklin put that field goal through the uprights in Super Bowl 20, and the graphic came on the screen. It said, the team that scores first in the Super Bowl has won 87% of the time. And I remember saying, Dad, that's a pretty good omen. The Bears scored 44 straight points.
Yeah, it was like the
Well,
Hindenburg.
McMahon quarterback, and that was the biggest joke.
Oh, geez, I tell you. But you know what? That's what I think, to your point, Chicago got to that dressing room last night. They know they're in a game. They know they're in a series. And they said to themselves, wow, those Bruins, they are no Eastern Conference pushover. This is going to be.
They're one of the top two teams in the NHL. I mean, I don't live and die with the Bruins like a lot of the fans do. I mean, I like the Bruins. I like watching them, especially, in the finals here. But, I mean, some of these fans, me as a fan, just a fan, I mean, I want them to win, but I love watching that type of game.
Well,
Yeah.
first thing you'd have to say walking away from the game is it was a great game. And second of all, it was very entertaining. We're unhappy the Bruins didn't win, but nobody should feel down because it just didn't happen for them last night.
Well, I think my opinion of that game last night, if I had to come away with one thing, when I turned it off, I said, the Bruins were up 3-1, and they loafed for about 4 minutes. They somehow went up 2 goals again, and it seemed as if they just lost a tiny bit of the intensity. And meanwhile, Chicago's at home, fans aren't leaving. Chicago just stepped on it a little bit, and I saw this momentum shift. And it was, it might have been a fluke. That's hockey. I mean, Ferentz in the wrong place at the right time for Chicago, but it was just, I came away thinking, we can beat this team. We can win another cup.
I'm a little worried with Harden if he's out for the whole series. I mean, I'm worried about that because he's been playing great.
Yeah.
They still can win it, but it's going to hurt them.
A lot of great insight from Lou and Ralph, not from me. And hopefully the next time we have Let's Talk Sports, we'll be talking about a Stanley Cup champion. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Paul Rabel from the Boston Cannons, and you're watching Let's Talk Sports.
Welcome back. This week we were treated to the wit and wisdom of Karl Malone as he picked his top 5 professional basketball players ever. Now, he didn't include himself, but he left out a couple of guys who've had some success in professional basketball. Bill Russell and Michael Jordan.
Who was his top 5?
His top 5, I think, were Magic, Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain, might have been Stockton. I don't know, but
Oh,
how-
that's because he played
how-
with Stockton.
but how can you leave out Michael Jordan? I think he had LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron.
So I don't really know who. I mean, my top 5 are Russell, Jordan, Robertson, Magic, and Chamberlain. Now,
Oh, you're going to put 2 centers in there?
yeah. I mean, Kobe's a great player. Bird's a great player, but you're never going to go wrong with any of the top 10 players. Jerry West. I mean, it's hard for me to leave Jerry West out. He was a clutch player, did it all, played hurt, but how could you leave? I just don't understand how you cannot include Michael Jordan or Bill Russell.
Well, you'd have to have Magic at point guard, Michael Jordan at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Russell at the 5, and I'm thinking about the 4. I mean, you a real 4. I mean, McHale was unbelievable.
I know
People-
the 4 is the hardest position to really
Bird was
pigeonhole.
a 4. Yeah, Elgin Baylor was a 3, but you'd have to put definitely LeBron over Elgin Baylor. Dr. J was more of a 3.
And I'm trying to remember, I think it was Dennis Rodman who said LeBron would have been average when he played. Like, oh, come on.
During their heyday, the best couple of years, it would be Russell at the 5, Bill Walton at the 4. In his heyday,
Right.
Walton he was the best ever over a 2-year period.
Right. He had
Before he got hurt.
He had a lot of injuries, but he could really play.
And LeBron at the 3, Jordan at the 2, and Magic at the 1. I mean, how can you get better than that?
Yeah, it would be pretty awesome.
You
to be
put
able to watch
Walton in
that.
the league at Koufax. Koufax had, 4 or 5 great years?
Right.
Walton had 3 great years before he got hurt.
Yeah, Walton had terrible ankle problems. I believe he's had both ankles fused to try to take care of the ankle pain. And you just can't say enough about what he did. I still try to use his example, scoring 44 points in the NCAA championship game on 21 of 22 shooting. And I try to tell our young players, it's a lot easier to make three-footers than 3-pointers.
I remember that game. Those bank shots, he would come from like 8 feet.
You know,
Oh,
and
what a game that was.
you know, and I always remember what his coach John Wooden said about him is that he never got bored by the repetition to do the little things right. So he was willing to spend the hundreds of hours necessary to perfect his craft. And it's asking a lot for young people to make those sacrifices to do that. But really, if you have an hour to work on yourself in some way, whether it's reading a book, learning a language, playing a musical instrument, or texting, what do you learn as a young person sending text for an hour? Nothing. You don't improve yourself. You know,
That's going to be the worst. Well, I'm not going to say it's the worst thing, but you know what's funny? Like, I'm in the courtroom every day. It's unbelievable. The lawyer, I mean, you can text because it's quiet. So the lawyers can be down like this, and they'll be texting. You call their case, and you have to call like 3 times because they're texting someone.
and how about speaking of athletes in the courtroom, Chad Ochocinco, he had some misdemeanor that he was going to basically get community service for, and then he slaps his lawyer on the backside. The crowd in the courtroom laughs, and he gets 30 days.
Yeah, the female judge wasn't too happy with him.
Oh. Well, closer to home, the Celtics have a coach or not. And it looks like the end game is going to be that Doc Rivers wants to coach in Sacramento, so the Celtics and Sacramento are going to have to work out some arrangement.
Sacramento, what's he going to do out there?
Oh, no, excuse me, the Clippers.
Clippers.
The Clippers. He's going to coach for the Clippers, and what are the Celtics going to get out of it? You know, there's some talk about Blake Griffin coming to Boston, and I don't know
Griffin
who.
and what's his name? Is it Bledsoe? Who's the other guy?
Could be Bledsoe.
Bledsoe?
And I don't know if Pearson, Garnett would be going out to the Clippers.
Well, my thinking was where Doc was holding up on saying whether he'd coach or not. I thought he was waiting for Pierce and Garnett to see if they were coming back. If they were going to come back, he would stay. That's my thinking. How are you going to give up? Why give up $21 million unless, like you said, the Clippers, and if that deal is Bledsoe and Griffin for maybe Pierce and Garnett, that's not a bad deal. Let him go. Because last year I was hoping they signed McKeel anyway to coach. I mean, he's been there long enough. This is 9 years, isn't it?
I want to say 11, but it's been there a long
You know,
time.
he's been there long enough. I mean, you know, he's a good coach, but, you know, let him go to another team if he wants. Bring some young hotshot in.
Well, John Wooden told a young Dale Brown the three key factors to being successful as a coach. Number one, have better players than the other team. Number two, make sure those players are committed to winning. And number three, practice repetitively the things that you think are important to playing winning basketball. And right now the Celtics don't have good enough players, so I don't really blame Rivers for looking for an opportunity. And it looks like the elite coaches now, that's their deal. If they don't have good enough players, they move on to someplace else where they can win.
Well, maybe Rivers is worried that, you know, they were 500 this year, right? Maybe he's worried that, you know, he's had a terrific record with the Celtics. Maybe he wants to end it here rather than, you know, go next year 30 and 50, especially if Pierce and Garnett go. So I think that he may be waiting for those two. But, you know, Ainge is always thinking about making trades. So.
Well, they have no. I mean, assuming that Garnett is not back, and even if he's back, he's more of a 4 than a 5 anyway, and they have no legitimate center. You know, I don't. Shavlik Randolph's interesting guy. Fab Melo. You know, those guys are just another pieces.
But,
they're not proven
right.
players.
Well, you talk about a true basketball fan, right? I told you a story about I had tickets for the Celtics, partial season tickets.
Right.
And I had them the 2 years previous to Garnett and Allen coming. But then when
yeah.
Allen and Garnett came, I gave them up because I love watching young players. And I knew with Garnett and Allen, the Celtics would be blowing away teams most of the time. Even though I'm a huge Celtic fan, I wanted to
Right.
win. What's great about going and watching win 110 to 70? You want to watch the young players develop, like Jefferson, Perkins at the time, Allen, West. They had West then.
Well, speaking of championships, now the Spurs Heat series has evolved into a pretty interesting series now. The Spurs are up 2-1 as of the taping of this show. Spurs really hammered the Heat the other night. And now they shot 13 for 19 from three-point land, and I don't know if Green and Neal can keep pounding them in from outside. I expect LeBron to come back with a big game, but they've made it interesting.
You know, it's funny. Well, you go to the Celtics series last year when the Celtics went up on them 3-2. You know, and then all of a sudden Miami plays great, led by LeBron. When people ask me what I thought about this series, I said, you know, I like San Antonio. They're well coached. They have veterans. But I don't think they have enough firepower to beat Miami when Miami plays great deal the way they can. So you see Miami, they scored 92 the first game and beat Miami by 4. Then you see Miami kill them, and that's the way I thought the rest of the series would go. Then you see San Antonio killing them. It's weird the way it's gone, but it all comes down to me is if Miami comes in really focused on playing great defense, I don't know if San Antonio can score enough.
I totally agree in that I never cease to be amazed by how good Miami's defense is when they're playing at their best. Now, I don't know if Wade might be hurt. You know, he's had knee problems for quite a while now, and he has to get his knee drained all the time. Maybe he's slowing down, and you know, obviously San Antonio really moves the ball well on the perimeter. So they swing the ball and they get a lot of open shots, but you're not going to go 13 for 19 on threes too often.
But do you think at times the rest of the players, because of LeBron James, lose the focus a little?
I think it's easy to do that if you play with a great player.
You'll see it tonight. They don't want to go down 3-1.
No.
So you'll see. I mean, just compare the last game. You know, tonight I would imagine they're going to come out focused. They're going to come out and they're going to play a great game. If San Antonio beats them, then I was 100% wrong in the way I thought the series was going to go.
Well, I thought when the Heat won the second game, they had established how they were going to play defensively, and San Antonio would really struggle because of that. So I was just shocked the other night when it went down the way it did.
Now let's talk about the best program in all the sports, and you know what that is.
Let me guess. It starts with U and it ends with con.
The UConn girls. I have some things coming. I know someone who knows one of the guys on the board at UConn. They give me a championship hat and shirt. It's already ordered. But he tells them how much of a fan I am. But I look at their team run. Dolson, the center. I think I told you. Because of the bone spurs,
Right.
She's not playing on any of the USA teams. The other 5 girls, 3 of them are all freshmen. They all made the U19 team that they're going over to Europe to play. They all made it. 12 players they picked. 3 of them are from UConn. The other 2 players that are going to be seniors next year, Hartley, and a junior, Mosqueda Lewis, they made the other team, the All-Star team. So they have 5 girls playing on the USA teams.
Well, it just goes to what I said. The key to being a great coach is to get great players. And they've certainly had their share there. Now, there's some other news in college sports this week. This blows my mind. USC offered a wide receiver scholarship to an 8th grader who's 6'2" and 190. So UCLA retaliated today by signing an 8th grade quarterback. How do you project these little kids to be college football stars?
How could you can't sign them.
I guess you can. I guess you can offer that. Maybe they can't officially sign, but they can.
No, even a verbal agreement. Don't you have to be in the 10th grade? Although UConn, I check their site every once in a while. They've got 2015. So those are incoming juniors from.
I just don't know how they can do it. And then, of course, in your field of expertise, the courtroom, there was a settlement in the Kobe Bryant auction sweepstakes. Apparently, Kobe Bryant's parents were, selling his stuff, like his high school uniforms, and auctioning it off. And so Kobe sued his parents because he didn't want. It wasn't about the money. I really don't think because it was his stuff. And
maybe he's not giving them money. Maybe
no. Apparently, he's bought them a house and given them lots of money, and
he's suing his parents.
Yeah. Well, who his father was? Joe Bryant, who was an NBA player. Didn't make that kind of money that Kobe made, but it's pretty tough when your parents start selling you stuff. I remember I had a 1965 mint condition Mickey Mantle baseball card. I had a few. I only had the stars: Koufax, Mantle, Mays, Hank Aaron, Clemente. So my father calls and says, I got a great deal. I took your baseball card down. I got $35 for that card. So I just said, that's a good job, Dad.
I remember all the cards I used to have. I mean, geez.
was probably worth 500. He managed to get 35. Really snookered him. Anyway, now the other issue that comes up this week is the Red Sox played Tampa Bay and they resumed hostilities, which I'm really not into beanballs. Now, Matt Joyce hit a home run off a Lackey, then he hit a loud foul on a 3-0 pitch and dropped the bat to watch. So then Lackey got him right between the numbers.
And look at what Ortiz does every time he hits a home run.
You know,
I mean, it's all right for Ortiz.
I just think it's Bush. You know, if a guy hits a home run, you say, hey, hit a home run. You know, don't give him the meatball next time. If you want to brush him back, you know, try to get the inside of the plate. There's a difference between brushing the guy back and hitting him between the numbers.
I hate when they intentionally hit somebody with the pitch. You know, I would say, but I don't like it. I mean, they better watch out these pitches because one of these days, his bat is going to fling his bat at them. I mean, you can't just drill him because someone hits a. Remember Clemens, what he did to Piazza?
Right.
He beamed him after he hit the home run against him.
Well, you know, there've been a lot of ugly incidents over time, and you know, some people say it's part of the game. I don't think throwing at people's heads ever part of the game. Well, see you again soon. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph Labella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.